My name is Tiffany, also known as Craftypurlgurl, P-U-R-L-G-U-R-L, on Ravelry and Instagram, and this is my first ever knitting vlog / podcast. I've been following podcasts, knitting podcasts for years now, and I just think it's such a cool way to learn about different patterns and designers and yarns, and it's really fascinating to me to hear about the different creative processes that everyone goes through with their knitting and their crafting. So I don't have any knitters in my life, so I thought that I could start my own knitting podcast, maybe meet some cool people and just get to share the stuff that I'm working on. So I live in Seattle with my husband and our 2 cats. It's the perfect gloomy rainy day today, so it felt like a really good day to get started. So I'll walk through some finished objects that I have, some works in progress, and then a couple of new projects that I've had my eye on. Okay, so I'll just get right into it. Okay, so the first finished object I have is a pair of Galiano Socks by Tracy Miller she's of the Grocery Girls podcast. I knit these, oh, here we go, that looks good. I knit these in the called for yarn. I think it's Plucky Knitter. I can't remember the color that I got, but it's a really plump yarn. I think it's an 80/20. So normally I do a 72-inch circumference for my socks on size 1 US needles. For this pattern, I did a 64 stitch circumference with a size 1.5 US needle. And yeah, it's a really clever, I love cables. I think they're so beautiful. It's a really clever design because next to the cables is like a mock cable situation. These are actually just like yarn overs. They're not full cables. So Tracy does a really good job with her patterns of having lots of rest rows and having like the same number of rest rows. So usually it's like you like do like a cable cross or you do a yarn over and then you have 4 rest rows and then you do something again and then you 4 rest rows and then you do it again. And I really like that. So you're not trying to balance like every 2 rows I do something here and then I wait 4 rows and then 2 rows. Like it gets really confusing. With hers, I feel like she paces them out really well. So her patterns are some of my favorite. But yeah, I'll show it again. The yarn is so plump and squishy. I really enjoyed working with it. It's really pretty. And I'll figure out lighting one day, but right now we're just gonna work with the light above my head. So yeah, these are the Galiano socks. Love them. Already wore them. I think my cat already snagged the yarn somewhere on one of them. Oh, yep, right there. He snagged the yarn. That's fine. It's fine. At least they're getting worn. So it's my first finished object. My second finished object is some yarn that I was so excited to get. It's by Woolens and Nosh. She does self-striping yarn. And so I've been trying to get onto this DK weight yarn bandwagon that everyone's on. I don't think I found my right like needle stitch gauge just yet. But this yarn is so beautiful. It's called Fancy Pumpkins. So her idea was not just to do like the typical like orange and yellow pumpkins, but like you see like the pink ones and the white ones and like this blue one I think is called like a Cinderella pumpkin. Like they're like in vogue now. So she did a whole self-striping yarn called Fancy Pumpkins. So I got it in DK. And I followed, I think it's a free pattern on Ravelry called like DK Socks by, I think her name is the Crazy Sock Lady. I know she has a podcast. I haven't watched a ton of it, but I know that she's like all about socks. So I thought I'd trust her pattern. So I used size 4 needle and I think my stitch count around was like 40 something or maybe 50 something. They're very cozy, but they're definitely like loose on me. So, and then the heel is quite short when I put them on my foot. So I need to figure out a better sock recipe for my DK socks. But I thought this yarn was so cute and festive. And then this soft pink I used, it was from Woolberry Fibers. It was some leftovers I have from a sweater, a cardigan / sweater I did a few years ago. So yeah, Fancy Pumpkins. So I was really excited to get those done before October. Okay, so that's 2 of my finished objects. The other one was a total impulse purchase at my local yarn store called the Tea Cozy in Ballard in Seattle. My husband said that he really likes the color like forest green. And he gets warm very easily, so I don't get to knit for him that often. He's got a couple of pairs of socks for me, but occasionally I can get him to wear a hat. So I get really excited when he wears a hat that I've made. So I was at a Tea Cozy, the yarn shop, and this beautiful, like super rich forest green yarn just like screamed out at me. It's by Sugar Plum Circus. I don't have the no, I can't. Oh, is it this? Yeah. Okay, look at that. Okay, the light isn't great. Oh, look at that. So foresty green, so rich. Like when I was knitting with it in the evening, it like looked almost black. She also had this other really dark color, Demoiselle. Like look at that really beautiful, like rich blue. I mean, I just don't ever see colors like this dark in hand-dyed yarn, so I was really excited. So I snatched it up. I think this is called Forbidden Forest or something. So I snatched it up and I justified it because I was like, oh, I'll make my hubby a hat. It'll be fine. So I made him a ribbed hat. Look at that. It's so cute. A ribbed hat. It's called the Exeter Hat. A lot of hats kind of follow, the ribbed hats follow this cool like lattice work at the top, which looks really neat. I don't know if that's a lattice work. It's the decreases at the top that look really cool. So it's nice and stretchy. So I think I added a few more, like one more, I think it's like every 14 stitches or something. I added one more set of 14 stitches because my husband has kind of a big head, just to make sure it like extra fit. But with the stretch, I feel like this is a really good pattern for somebody that you can't like measure their head. So I knit this up. It's a sport weight pattern. I did it in a few nights. It was really nice and rhythmic, and the yarn is really, really pretty. So he hasn't worn it yet, but he will wear it soon, and I'm really stoked. And then I have to figure out, I'm going to keep the blue for myself. I have to figure out a nice hat pattern for that. I don't think I'll do the ribbed, but maybe I will. So yeah, that's the Exeter hat. And I'll put links in the show notes for the video to all the patterns that I used. And then the last finished object that I wanted to share is the Stripes sweater by Andrea Mowry. So I made this sweater. I started on this sweater late last year, early this year. There's a lot of ends though. So by the time I finish the sleeves, because I hate doing sleeves, so I always finish the body and then it sits for like months, and then I finally get to one sleeve, and then I finally get to the other sleeve. Well, then this one had all the ends to weave in, and so then it just sat there for like another 6 weeks, like marinating. But I finally finished it, and I only did 4 colors for this pattern. She has like 7 or some crazy number, but it was Volan Vine. I watched a Volan Vine episode, and she only did her stripes in 4 colors as well. So I was like, all right, cool, I'll do that. So I had a really good time pairing together different like skeins of yarn and swatching different swatches to see like which color combos I liked. And you can kind of see it. I'll maybe bring it another time, but like up there on my bulletin board, I have the swatches that I'd made with the yarn colors that I had chosen. And so this is what I ended on. I love this like bright 80s, like violently purple. It's so good. And then this is another Plucky Knitter in like a pumpkin-y gold color. And then these two are from Stress Knits. I think this is her Mountain Mamba, and this is Pillow Mint. So I really enjoyed working on this. I do have like a couple of like grumbly grumbles. One is, well, the biggest grumbly grumble is the increases in the yoke. You can even see it here, how it starts to kind of ripple. I think what the issue is that the yoke increases happen so quickly that you end up with this like billowy, ripply fabric on top of your chest. And I don't need any extra fabric on top of my chest. So I got really frustrated with that. And when I had finished the body, then I saw that the pattern was updated for a different decrease or a different increase rate for the yoke. So I was like, damn it, like I just finished that. And if I had known, I wouldn't have, I would have started it later. But so it's a little bit like billowy and looser than I love. but I will say the fit is pretty good on the rest of the body. And then the other like grumpy I have with the sweater is my own fault. I had made a sweater previously that was yoked, and I tried it on to know when to separate for the sleeves, and it was kind of fitted under my arms, but I was like, oh, that's okay. Like once I add the weight of the body and like wear it, it won't be like up under my armpits. Well, it totally wasn't. It was so tight. Like I felt like I was like this all day and like sweating into my sweater. It was awful. So I ended up giving that sweater away. So this was the next thing I cast on after that. And I was super nervous about having like a really tight yoke. So I ended up knitting probably like 2 extra inches than I needed to because I was like, this is gonna fit. So I knitted a couple of extra inches. So the I guess the wherever the arms separate is like a little lower than where it needs to, so I get a little bit of that like loose like bat wing look, which isn't my favorite, but that's more my fault. That's not really the pattern's fault. But the bright side is because it's not like super tight up under my armpits, like I don't feel like I'm gonna sweat in that sweater as much, which I am glad about, because like you're only supposed to like rinse or wash these, you know, every few weeks or every few wears, so I'm glad that I won't be like destroying it. But anyway, so this is that. Actually, I'm quite excited about it. I think it's gonna look really cute. I have an olive green, big like oversized olive green coat, and I think it'd be really nice for like, you know, bebopping around. So yeah, this is Stripes by Andrea Mowry. Okay, so those are my finished objects for right now. It's a lot because like I'm just now getting into this whole podcasting. I'm not a slow knitter, but I do always have like a ton of projects going on at the same time. So something that could probably take me like a sweater, like a month to do, will take me like 8 months to do, because I get kind of distracted and I work on other stuff at the same time. So there's part of me that wants to like fix that and like be monogamous with my knitting. And then there's this other part that's like, it's creativity. Like as long as it gets done and I wear it when it's done and I like it when it's done, like that's what matters. So that's a balance for me for sure. But that means I have a lot of works in progress to share. Okay, so the first one is this super fun rainbow. It's another self-striping yarn, a rainbow sock by West Yorkshire Spinner. It's just like a vanilla sock recipe. But this rainbow yarn is just like the happiest stinking yarn I've ever seen. I love it. So I got 100-gram skein of this, and I knitted a friend of mine some socks with contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs. And I still had like, I think it was like 49 grams left of it when you do the contrasting heels, toes, and cuffs. So I saved it, and I was like, I'm gonna make a pair for myself as well. So I added a slightly longer, if you can hear that squeaking, it's the train going by, so I apologize if it's noisy. I added a little bit more to the ribbing. Normally I do 15 rounds of ribbing. This time I did 20. And then I thought it would be fun to do a different heel color than the toe and the cuff, but super cute. So I got the first one finished. This is just my vanilla sock that I do 72 stitches around on a size 1 needle. I do a heel flap and gusset. And then I do the wedge toe. I think the toe is where I have the hardest fit, probably because I think I knit my socks just a little bit too long in the foot. Like I'm always nervous. I've knit like 2 pair that were too short, and it was just the worst. So I'm always nervous that I'm knitting them too short and I knit them too long. So I need to figure out if that's the issue or if like the wedge toe isn't maybe the right toe for me. I'm not sure. But anyway, I have, oh my gosh, it looks so jumbled. I have the other sock going. So I finished the leg. I'm almost done with the heel flap, and then I turn for the heel turn, and then I'll pick it up and keep going. It's a very squeaky train. So yeah, heel flap and gussets tend to be my favorite heels. They're definitely a pain in the butt to work though. Like they're not my favorite to work, and I hate it when you have like all those stitches on one needle, because I do magic loop too. So you have like a ton of stitches when you pick up the gusset on one needle and just a little bit on the other. So it's kind of a pain in the butt, but I feel like the fit is so much better for me than like a slip stitch heel. Oh, and now we have the plane going by. So anyway, these are West Yorkshire Spinners yarn. I can't remember. I think it's like one of their only rainbow ones though. So pretty and fun. So I'm really excited to have these done whenever that happens. Okay. Next work in progress. Okay, I'll show my last sock and then I'll move on to a couple other things. So I this summer signed up, or I like paid for the online course through Knitography for her Selbu socks. And so I'm doing Selbu socks. And so the yarn I'm using is Phenol by Rauma. I got it at my local yarn store. And I got it in this cream color and this like weird orange, like yellowy brown gold color. And I thought that they looked very autumnal together. I'm gonna close that window 1 second. That's a very long squeaky train. Ooh, goodness. Okay. So yeah, it's Phenol by Rauma, and I got it in these two colors. And I have finished the leg of the sock. I love her video style. She's like so soothing and adorable the way that she speaks, and she's so inspiring when she talks about socks and like all the really cool Norwegian traditions. So it's really a pleasure to watch the video. I think I am running out of steam because I had to do swatches to get my right needle size. I think I ended up with a size 2 needle. So I had to make a size 1, a 1.5, and a size 2 swatch before I got to the right swatch. So I basically did this pattern 3 times, and then I made the sock, and then had to do the pattern again on the front and the back. And then by the time I finished it, I was just like, okay, I've made that like 5 times now. So I need to watch the next video about how to do the heel flap and the gusset. And then it'll get really exciting because the foot of the sock has like a different pattern, and then there's like a little hidden like design on the bottom of the sock, which I think will be really cute. So I just need to watch the videos again and kind of get back into it. I'm really enjoying it so far. I just had to make this stinking snowflake 5 times that I just like lost all my steam. So excited to get back into that. I also got these like Christmassy colors of Rauma Phenol as well that I thought I could do like Christmassy socks. And that would be really, really fun, but I'm still only like a third of the way done with one sock. So maybe not this Christmas, but maybe I can do it. We'll see. I also have a really cute spiced cider donut progress keeper, which just like makes me hungry every time I look at it. So yeah, so I would recommend that, the Knitography class. I think she's got mittens and she's got I think a sweater, but I thought I would do socks because the idea of those like cool, like fully patterned socks, I just think are really, really beautiful, and I would love to do more. The other work in progress I have that's taking up most of my attention is the Pink Velvet Sweater by Andrea Mowry. I am knitting it in Peary by Quince & Co. and the color Ginger Snap. This is like my favorite color right now. This like, I mean, I don't know. I think there's like a theme in that cubby there of like this like, it's not gold, it's like rusty brown, orange, burnt orange color. I just love it. I think it's so pretty. So this is gingerbread. And then I paired it with, I can't remember, it's Shibui yarn. I can't remember the name of the yarn, but it's this really beautiful teal. And let me tell you, this yarn was expensive. This was an indulgent purchase. So I'm saving on, I had to buy 2 of these and hold it double because it was lace weight. And the pattern is for a fingering weight sweater. So I'd hold these double. And I have these little nuggets left. And so what I want to do is like some kind of like really sweet sock with like a fuzzy, delicate, like stranded motif like around the cuff. I think would be really pretty in this like beautiful fuzzy. But look at that. Yeah. I really liked working with it. I'm not the biggest fan of working with mohair. It's kind of hard to like rip back. So when I like would make a mistake in the fair isle or the stranded knitting, like ripping back was kind of a pain in the butt to do. And I also find it's a little bit itchy for me. So I'm glad that it only had a little bit, but now that I think about it, like I put the fair isle on the color work, or excuse me, the color work on the yoke, which is where I'm the most prone to be ticklish or itchy from yarn. So we'll see how this goes. But I finished the yoke and I'm just at the point where I need to separate for the sleeves. Let me get this all pretty. Ooh, of course the light's not great. Oh yeah, that doesn't look very great, does it? It's all scrunched up on the needles too. But here's what I have so far. I think from afar it's just gonna look like a teal panel across it, but when you look at it up close, you'll see the design on it. And yeah, this light isn't super great. I'm using the size 4 needle, which I think was the recommended needle. I can't remember, but my gauge was 1 stitch short. And I'm trying to be a lot better about like following gauge and actually paying attention to that stuff, because I tend to not like the sweaters that are a little bit too baggy when they're supposed to be more fitted. So I think with my gauge, I did the calculation, it should measure like 46.4 inches around, and my bust is like around a 45. So I felt like that would be good. But when I put this on to test it, to see if I was at a good spot to separate for the sleeves, it did feel like excessively billowy again, just like the stripes one did. So I'm like a little nervous that it's going to be a little larger around the chest and the back than I thought it would, which would super stink because this would be really hard to rip out with a mohair. So I'm kind of just like holding my breath and crossing my fingers that this works out. But yeah, this is yarn I bought at Hill Country Weavers or Hill Country Fibers in Austin, where I'm originally from Austin, like a year ago. And I've just been staring at it, and I feel like these colors together are so beautiful and like autumnal, and they make me so happy. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm at the part where I need to separate for the sleeves. And I'm probably going to do this cropped like the pattern calls for. And I think the only modification I'm going to try to add, depending on how the yoke fits, once I've separated for the sleeves, is I might do some waist shaping to kind of bring it in a little bit. So I'll keep you posted. Hopefully though, with the cropped sweater, it'll be a lot faster to knit. But usually I don't have an issue with the body. I have an issue with the sleeves, because once I finish the body, it just sits there for forever until I can get the energy to do the sleeves. Oh, but speaking of Andrea Mowry, I guess it's like the show today. I was going to show you the sweater I'm wearing. So I'm wearing the Weekender pullover by Andrea Mowry. The original in worsted, not the newer one that she has in fingering. I knit this out of Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in their worsted, and it's a little bit scratchy for me, like right back here I can feel it, and so I wear a tank top on under it. It's a little scratchy back here, so it's not my favorite, and I feel like it pills like quite a lot. So I glean it and try to like take good care of it, but man, like wear it once and it pills really bad. So I probably won't knit with this yarn again, but I did appreciate how affordable it was. I think this whole thing was like $40. I also had an issue that a lot of other people did with like the neckline being too tight. I think I just made my bind off super loose. I think hers is almost like a full slash neck where it stops like at the end of her shoulders. And most people were having like it was so tight. So I think I got mine in a good space there. I can't remember what size I knit. I can't remember. I have a hard time doing sweaters with like a lot of positive ease because I am very large busted. So I already feel like if I knit something to my bust, it's going to be loose all over the rest of my body. So I tend to knit stuff that's either at or like within an inch or two negative or positive ease for my bust, so that I don't have this like huge bulky sweater all around my waist. This one, it's supposed to be really oversized, so I like that. The only thing I'd say is the high-low hem is like extra exaggerated with a larger bust. And I feel like the front pulls up quite a lot more than like it does on other people who have a smaller bust. So I probably wouldn't do the high-low hem again, because I think naturally sweaters are gonna do that on me. And if I made this again, I might add like another like ½ inch or an inch just to make it a little bit longer. So yeah, that's the Weekender. Okay. I feel like I'm talking really fast. I probably am, but like that's my MO. Okay, so I've got one more work in progress to share, and then 2 dream projects that like I'll start eventually. So my work in progress project is in this bright yellow Mrs. Brown's bag in the La Bien-Aimée color, I think Yellow Brick Road. I like this bag. It's really big. But when I brought it to a friend's house, she thought that it was ramen noodles on the bag and not knit stitches. So now every time I see it, I think of ramen noodles. Oh well. Okay, so the next pattern I'm going to share with you is the Gin and Juice pattern by Thea Coleman. It is this beautiful, one day I'll figure out how to edit in where I can like insert a photo while I'm talking. But right now we're just going to go with it and I'll provide the link. It's a beautiful, like big oversized shawl collar cardigan. And the back is just like fully cabled. And it's like the cables like start small and then they like kind of interchange and get more open up to the top. It's so beautiful. And so I've always wanted to make it. I love cables. I think they're so beautiful, but I've always been a little bit nervous of like doing a fully cabled sweater. Like, would I totally poop out on it? But I really wanted to do it. So I got this yarn, Lark Heather, in the color Caspian by Quince & Co. It's really soft. It's got a really similar like hand feel to the this Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, but a little bit softer. And this color I thought was like, I don't know, made me think of like being like a farmhouse wife and like in the woods, and I don't care about material things. I just wear like natural colors of the earth. That's accurate in my brain. I think that kind of thing. So I got this yarn. You have to buy like a zillion skeins of it, but it actually, I like Quince & Co because they're a bit more affordable. I don't think it was like horribly expensive. If I had tried to do this with like a hand-dyed indie yarn, this would have been really, really expensive. So I started the pattern. I was knitting it. I did a swatch. I did a swatch in stockinette. I did not do a swatch in the cable because I was lazy. And I found like, oh, I should go down a needle size. So I went down a needle size and I'm knitting, and I got about this far on the piece. And there were two things that were happening. One, I was messing up my cables, so I had to keep ripping back to fix the cables, but I figured out a trick, which I'll tell you. And two, my hands were killing me every time I was knitting on this project, like pain in my hands. And so it was making it like really unpleasant to work on. And I would just be sad every time I would look at this cardigan. And so the other day I was like, look, there's gotta be something going on. Like, I'm never going to finish this if I hate knitting it and it's really uncomfortable in my hands. Like, let me figure out what's going on. So I went on the pattern page and I found out like, the needle that you swatch with is the needle you use for the ribbing, but you still have to go up a needle size for the cables. And I had not done that. So I'm like, okay, I'm already off by one needle size. And then B, I remeasured my swatch because I had done it in the original needle requested or recommended and then a size down. And I found that over time, they kind of shrunk back up where the recommended needle size was actually the correct gauge and the needle I was using was actually a stitch or two smaller. So I was like, oh crap, like here I am, I'm basically knitting two needle sizes too small on this whole thing. But then I was like, every time I do the measurements, I feel like the measurements work out. So I did the measurements again because there's like a panel of cables in the back and two panels of cables in the front, and they're surrounded by stockinette stitches. So I would follow the measurements and it would say like the front panel was like 7 inches. The front cable panel would be measuring 7 inches is what it says. And so I would measure the whole panel with the stockinette stitches and the cable. And I was like, yeah, mine's 7 inches. But then I realized that what she meant was really just the cables measuring that should be 7 inches. And mine was only like 5.5. So I was like, oh wow, like I'm definitely off. So once I realized it, I immediately was like, I'm gonna rip this out. Like I can't sit on it or I'll just be sad for forever. So I immediately ripped it out. Luckily, I mean, there's definitely gonna be some kinky yarn, but I say the yarn held up to being ripped out pretty well. And then I've been doing spit splicing so they don't have a zillion ends to weave in. So I have all these like random sized balls of yarn. I didn't measure like 100 grams per skein or whatever. I just like was like, okay, this one's getting big, cut, and then I kept ripping it out. So I've restarted the pattern on the correct needles. So I don't have very much. I just have the ribbing. And then for the pink velvet, once I separate for the sleeves on that one, I'll use this. I use Chowgu needles, interchangeable. So once I put the pink velvet on smaller needles, I'll switch out the the cable in here. I don't think I'm making any sense. Either way, I'm just trying to say I'm going to use the longer cord for this guy later. So I just got started again, but I'm really optimistic this time. And this is one of the things I love about knitting. I'm getting a lot better about just like ripping stuff out if it's not working and being okay with it and like trying again. I do try my hand at some sewing, and it's nerve-wracking because it's like if you cut into that fabric and you cut too small, like unless you can come up with something totally different or some crazy unique way to fix it, like you just can't use that piece anymore. And that really bums me out. But with knitting, it's like if I knit 11 inches of this thing and it wasn't right, I can just rip it out and start again. And I really appreciate that, being able to do that in knitting. So I'm starting this over. I'm a lot more optimistic about it. I did some of this a couple nights ago and it did not hurt my hands at all. So that was really exciting. So I'll keep you posted, but it's gonna be so cozy and cabley and squishy, and I'm gonna feel like a farmer's wife in my undyed yarn color. Oh, it's gonna be great. I can't wait. So I'll keep you posted on that in my ramen noodle bag. Okay, I'm at 30 minutes. I'm gonna share the last two things and then I'll try to stop because otherwise I could just sit here and talk for forever. Okay, so the two dream projects that I want to do, kind of once I finish the pink velvet, I'll start one of these. I don't know how long this one's gonna take. We'll see. So this is in my Hohi and Co bag. I can't remember. Pampa? I can't remember. It was a gift from my husband for my birthday last year, and I love it. It's so soft. I want to buy more of their stuff, but I have to pace myself. So in this bag, I have 4 skeins of Barrett Wool Company Home and the fingering weight, and the Scout color. So it's this really nice, soft teal, more leaning towards blue color. I think I thought it was going to be a little bit more teal when I bought it online, but I really like it. I have knit her, oh, he's up there. I'll bring him down later. The little pumpkin he's like a pumpkin in a cat Halloween costume in the Barrett Wool yarn, and it was such a pleasure to knit with. It's like really squishy. It feels really soft. It is non-superwash, so it doesn't have the weight that like a superwash yarn has. So I was really excited to get some of this. I think I bought this again last year. I think it was like a pandemic purchase. I don't even know. So I got 4 skeins of fingering. I was like, what am I going to knit with it? What am I going to knit? I could never figure it out. And I would just go on Ravelry and search by like the yardage that I had and the weight of the yarn and just like look at patterns. And this pattern popped out and I had it. I already had it. I was so excited. So it's in the Lina magazine, and this is issue number 4. I only have 2 Lina magazines. I think I have 4 and 5. But I actually knit from them, which is crazy because I'm looking. I have like many other books that I never remember to knit from, but the Lina magazine ones I do, especially this issue 4. Like I made the hat on the cover. I've made a couple of things in here. Actually, no, I've only made the hat, right? Yeah, I've only made the hat in this one, but in issue number 5, I've made a lot more stuff. So anyway, I'm going to make, okay, I got really excited and I lost my place. Hold please. Oh my God. I even had it out. Okay, it's the Eri Sweater by Isabel Kramer. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, it's kind of hard to see. There we go. But it's like super cabled and it has like a seed stitch all the way around and then like a cable panel down the front. And I am so stoked. And of course it's in like the same stinking color that this yarn is. Although, I mean, I think she used a totally different yarn. But that's what I'm going to do. So it's got like cable braids here and like one big panel. And then there's like seed stitch all over it, which I think looks so elegant. It's not this like crazy oversized shape. It's like a really standard shape. And it looks like the yardage that I have is going to be enough. So I'm really stoked. I already got one skeined up. I was going to start on it. And then I think I got nervous about starting another cabled project when I was having so many issues with this guy, the Gin and Juice. So I didn't start it yet, but this will be the next one that I start after I finish the pink velvet sweater. So I'm really excited about it. I think this yarn is really, really pretty. I think it's gonna pop, the cables are gonna pop really nicely on it. So I'm really excited about that one. So this is in my special bag, just to remind me that this is a special project and it's gonna be really fun to do. So that's Eri by Isabel Kramer. Okay, and then last but not least, Dream Project. Oh my gosh. So I've been eyeing this pattern for like a really long time. It's one of those all over color work Fair Isle style sweaters by Marie Wallen. But I get a little bit intimidated by those. Like, I can obviously do color work knitting, that's fine. I get a little bit intimidated by the all over color ones, mostly because they usually require like 20 colors. And I'm just like, that's exhausting to try to find either exact matches or to try to swatch on my own. I'm not super confident in color theory. Like, I tend to sort of stick close to either the colors that I know I really like these like goldeny colors, or like a burgundy red, or like green. I tend to have a lot of green. Or I'll go with like what the designer did. Like, not necessarily the exact same yarn, but I'll do like the same color. So they had this kit available on the Woolly Thistle, and so I got it. And it's for this sweater, oh my god, by Marie Wallen in her Gentle collection. Can't remember what it's called. I think it's called Gentle. I could be wrong, but it is so pretty. Of course, I'm not gonna be able to find it again. I get too stinking excited. Hold please, hold please. I'm not gonna leave you hanging. Oh my god, I didn't realize. Primrose, oh my god. Primrose. So that's what it looks like. Oh, so cute. So I got it in the Marie Wallen. She's got her own British Breeds yarn kit for it. And I'll tell you, it wasn't cheap. It came in this cute Woolly Thistle bag, and there's a ton of yarn in there. I won't take it out because it's going to crinkle too much. It wasn't cheap, but my hope is, like, I will love it because it's going to match exactly the pattern. And I should have leftovers. And she had a really cute sock pattern in the book too that I thought, like, okay, I can definitely eke out, you know, I might need to buy like a couple other colors, but like I can totally eke out like a pair of socks with some leftovers that I have. I'm trying to find it again. Oh my god, why do I do this to myself? Okay, there's socks in here, just trust me. So yeah, this is from the Gentle collection by Marie Wallen. Yeah, this is a dream project. I'm a little bit nervous because when I looked at the pattern, it's like it tells you how much ease to do, and I have the right size in there, but she also says, like, almost like warning, like the ease on the model isn't correct or something like that, or like she's wearing an exceptionally smaller sweater or something, and I'm like, wait, what? Why? What happened? Oh, here. Special note, Georgia, the model, is wearing a size small in the photographs, and it is more fitted than the usual size small. So I'm like, well, why is hers more fitted? Did somebody not do the right gauge? Is like, what does that mean? So that scares me. I'm gonna be honest, that scares me. Also, it cracks me up that this entire pattern is 2 pages, and then there's some charts for the color work. Like, these days, so many patterns are written for like brand new beginner knitters, which like is cool, but then it's like sometimes you get a pattern and you're like, oh, I just need this like yoke detail that's really pretty and like your count, and it's like a 24-page pattern. I'm like, oh my god, like I can't, that's too many pages. So, and then I get this and I'm like, it's only 2 pages. I feel like there's information missing. I'm sure there's not, but I'm like, oh god. So that will be a dream project for me to start on probably after the holidays when it's really gloomy here and I'm not eating a bunch of pumpkin pie. I mean, I might be eating pumpkin pie in January, but you know, I'm not traveling or buying gifts or stressing out. Theoretically, that will be that project. So yeah, first podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to try to come back in 2 weeks. Again, I'm not a super fast knitter, so like maybe I'll have a sock done, but I'll definitely bring out some of my finished socks, finished garments that I've done, talk about stuff that I'm inspired by and things that I want to knit and work on. I also dabble in cross stitching. That's a new thing for me. And then garment sewing and a little bit of quilting. So, excuse me. So I will kind of bring some of that stuff out, and if you're interested to see that, I can share that as well. But knitting will probably be the primary focus. But yeah, it was really nice to chat with everyone. I hope you enjoy my podcast. And I'll be back in a couple of weeks. All right, thanks. Bye.